Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this weekly show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, my book about making it easier to game master, to prep your games. I go through those steps while preparing for my own role-playing game. In this case, I am running a Tales of the Valiant role-playing game by Kobold Press, set in the world of Midgard, also by Kobold Press, set in the Dragon Empire region known as the Marathi Empire to the eastern side. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to all kinds of awesome tips, tricks, tools, adventures, scenarios, access to our awesome dedicated Discord server where we talk about all things in tabletop role-playing games all week long, and you help me put on shows like this. To the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your outstanding support. So last week, let's jump over to Obsidian here. Last week, the characters made their way into what is known as the Third Heaven, a palace carved into the side of a mountain in order to assassinate a dragon known as Vestar the Shining Storm. They are doing so to nail the final nail in the coffin of the Dragon Empire's reach to the northwest, to the Dragon Coils. And they already managed to get rid of a ton of money that was going to be used to finance the Dragon Empire, the armies. There are two different armies, a mercenary army and a conscripted army. And they had about 3 million gold that they were going to use to fund this army as they went north that had been donated by several dragons. And the characters dumped, through an infiltration of their vault, dumped all of that money into the infernal realm of Evermaw. Evermaw? No, the Dustlands, the Dry Lands, which is like undead hell. So they dumped it all into the dry lands, effectively getting rid of it. But did they? That's a big question. They then made their way to the ruined city of Nerderin, where the armies are actually being stationed, with the intention of killing Vestar the Shining Storm, who is running this. Vestar the Shining Storm is the Akinji in charge of the Southern Dragon Coil regions. And with the money gone, things are going to be rough. What they found out is that Vestar had planned to march the armies regardless of the fact that they don't have any money, which would have resulted in the death of 80 to 90% of them along the way, because it's a hard journey through the mountains, the Dragon Coil Mountains. So by getting rid of Vestar, they're going to save thousands and thousands of people. So very fun, very kind of, Inglourious Bastards style campaign that's been going on here. Really a really good time. The characters, so the session started out with the characters meeting Athon Ironchest, who met them after the Sharpened Coin mercenary that they had run into on their way in had given them up and said, there's no way that I'm over my head working with this group. I need to talk to Athon, the head of the Sharpened Coin. So the Sharpened Coin shows up. He brings them a nice breakfast of eggs and fruit and sausages and other things and says, hey, I just want to have a conversation. Right? And they realize, we're in danger. And it's like, yeah, but I've heard about some of the things you've done, and meeting you is really impressive. And I want to talk to you because I think there's things we can do together. And they're like, wow, okay. But they were like, I want to test that for poisons. And he's laughing because he's eating parts of it. And he's like, it's not poison. Why would I come all the way here to poison you? Right? I don't do that. But anyway, let's talk. So they ended up, it was a big, long conversation with them that ended up resulting in them signing a contract with him that was bound by their priest of Mammon. So I referred to it as an infernal contract, and I'm probably going to retcon that and say it's not an infernal contract, but it is a contract that has been sanctified and certified by a priest of Mammon, saying this is a contract. And the contract was essentially that if that the Sharpened Coin mercenaries, Athon and the Sharpened Coin mercenaries, will help the characters, and in return they own 40% of the money that was dumped into the dry lands. And he says, look, it may never be recovered. It may already be gone. But if you have access to it and I have access to it, that the two of us agree that if and when we ever recover this money or any of the money, that the Sharpened Coin owns 40% of it, which is way more than the Sharpened Coin was going to get from the dragons. But of course, and recognizing the fact that may be zero. Right? You may never get it back, and it may be zero. So there was a lot of hemming and hawing and a lot of I don't know if we want to trust this guy. But on the other hand, they're it was, as far as we know, it's gone, and he might be able to help us get it. Like he now has he now has an interest in recovering it, which means we might be able to recover this. So, why wouldn't we? Like, worst, it's 0. And best, we get 60% of the money that we get, whatever the 3 million gold, whatever the result of 60% of 3 million gold is. So they ended up signing the contract. He said, thanks. And he said, in exchange, I will tell you a few things. Like, he's like, one thing you don't have is you don't have the code word to get into the place. I heard your plan and it sounds great until you get into the area where they throw a giant portcullis on either side of you and then dump hot oil on you because you didn't use the right code word. And I have it because I'm the head of the mercenary company. So yes, I have the code word and I will give it to you, the code phrase, and I will give it to you in exchange for 40% of 3 million gold. That may or may not exist. And so they were like, yeah, that's good. And he goes, and I'll also give you some other, I'll tell you the layout of the place. I'll tell you where he is. I'll tell you what dangers you have to face. I will even offer a small group of people who are really good at creating distractions. To help create distractions if you want it. They ended up not using them. So the characters, yes, they said sure. And then they decided that, hey, I have an idea. What if we poison them? What if we send in food? Like they get regular food sent into the keep. What if we poison the food and then like don't come in until that night? So like during the day they're eating, they eat poisoned food, then we come in during the day. And so the characters went around and harvested various things and created evil concoctions of poison and then poisoned the food and then sent it in early into the keep. The sharpened coin, Athon managed to hijack the food that was on the way, replace it with the poison food, sent it on in. So that got rid of a lot of the people that were inside there. That meant when the characters actually made their way in, a lot of people were sick and some were dying already. And so the characters then did their ruse, which was get in a big cart, pretend it's full of the gold that was coming from the place. Everyone's very excited to see the gold. Say the passcode and then get into the keep. And so they said the passcode, they got into the keep. They saw that a bunch of people are sick. There's still some guards around. They said, okay, they did a smart thing for players, which was, let's keep our plan really simple. We're going to make it through the front gate. We're going to get as far as the counting room, and then we're going to inflict swift and blinding violence. And they said, okay. And so they got in there and they got to the counting room and they said, okay, swift and violent blinding violence time. So they then engaged in battle with the 4 veteran guards that guard the counting room. And the guards were all sick, so they had half their hit points. And so they fought the guards, they defeated them. Then they're like, okay, now, time's up, right? Like everyone's sick. They know bad things are happening. Now we're broken in. Now we have to find Vestar and kill him very quickly. So they then go over to a door. They know that there's a vault. And so like, okay, we know there's a vault here and that there's money in that vault. That's great. But we know that this door, we're pretty sure, leads to the upper passages that go to Vestar. So they open the door and standing on the other, they had heard him moving around. They knew that there was like one of the guards ran out and yelled something before they could stop him. And then they heard some thundering footsteps. And then they opened the door and standing at the doorway is this massive spell scale vassal, which is like a human, like a giant dragonoid, right? A giant dragonkin. This one is a white dragonkin standing there and smiling at them, who doesn't eat their food. No, they did not recognize the map. Michael in chat, I used a map from City of Arches that I've actually used with this group before. No idea. So that worked, right? That all worked fine. So our game today begins with them battling the spell scale vassal, whose name in here is Stonewolf. So we are going to create some new session notes today. I'm going to create a new from template. I'm using Obsidian to do my prep today. I use Obsidian for it. I'm going to be talking more about Obsidian, but also about just using text files for game prep. Everyone today is here except Emmert. So we have Amavin. Amavin is a rogue, kind of a cosmopolitan rogue who is aware of the spy networks that are going on. Is there anything that Am would know about this current situation or anything that could aid Amavin? And anything that Amavin would know that would aid the current situation? I'm not sure. Like, they're really just infiltrating this place. Nothing leaps right out to me. Like, normally what I do here is like a secret. Like, what's a good secret? I also don't know if Amavin... Let's see if past Mike Shea has helped me out. Does Amavin have any magic items? He has the Armor of Swarms. His wish list are Masterwork, Thieves' Tools, Bag of Holding, which you're never going to get. There are Cloaks of Elvenkind out there. Dancing Lockpicks sound fun. Ring of Protection or a Quick Quaff Bandolier. Are those real things? I don't know. So that was wish list items. I could drop a magic item in for Amavin. You're never going to get... I'll tell you what I really like. I think a lot of people can spider climb, and I think he might already be able to spider climb. So I don't know if Amavin needs boots of spider climbing or not. What boots? I'm going to go over to the player's guide real quick, and we're going to look at magic items and take a look at boots. See if there's any interesting boots. So let's see. Boots of Elven kind. Pretty good for a rogue, but like, boy, his stealth is already really good. Boots of Levitation might be fun. Those are rare, but they're 6th level now, so it's not that much to get. Not that much to get. And really it's hard to hide when you're levitating. Springing and Striding. Boots of the Winterland. Those are the real boots. I think some Boots of Levitation might be fun. I think we might throw those in. And I think our rogue friend would like that. But I don't know that he will get them. But I'll drop them in the treasure and we'll see. So Gaudenzia and Cal have some... Hey, my mom is here. Hi, Mom. Yay. So Gaudenzia and Cal both have a connection to Vestar. And I have an idea. It's a hard thing. They actually poisoned a bottle of wine, but I think Vestar was smart enough to figure it out. So, because I think that will be kind of it's a downward. Well, maybe we'll see how the other battle goes, but I think I have a possibility of an upward or downward beat. I could either roll for it randomly, or I could decide based on a beat, or I could just go with my feels. But Gaudenzia gave up Cal's vineyard to Vestar accidentally, and Cal lost her vineyard to Vestar. Those are big connections that are going on in this part of the game, and because they're about to face Vestar is like scene 2. Mateo is our mechanist. Is there any mechanisty kind of stuff, any mechanically bits that they could know? The vault is expensive and heavily protected. That's kind of lame. Mateo got a nice magic item recently. Rowan is our fighter and knows how many lives will be saved by killing Vestar and stopping the armies from crossing the Dragon Coil. And then we have Tolstoy. Tolstoy is bound to the god Mott, has a devil named Cattell as an advisor, and is a high potentate of Mott, which means, and a dragon hunter, right? Blazes with the fury against the dragons. I think Mott is pleased, boosts the artifact to +2. So I think when killing Vestar, I think Mott will be pleased and his artifact will go up to a +2 bonus. It would be interesting if he gained it would be kind of fun. Tolstoy would be interesting if he actually kind of gained some warlock stuff, because he almost has this, patron now. I wonder if there would be a cool effect. We could give him, what's the spell that gives you armor? So I think it's called Armor of Agathis. I bet you, I don't know if there is a Tales of the Valiant equivalent to that, because I don't know that that's SRD based. Let's look at character classes, and we will look at warlocks for a second and see what kind of stuff they get. It might be interesting if he got a Pact of the Chain. Would make so much sense. I can kind of tie some invocations directly to this item. While you aren't wearing armor or wielding a shield, your AC becomes 13 plus your charisma modifier. It's not bad. It could be like Armor of Chains. Chains of Carcerai are probably too powerful. Thief of 5 Fates. You can cast Bane. Oh, Bane is a pain in the ass. I don't know if I want to give that. So where are the spell lists? The easy one is you throw a spell on it. I guess it would be under weird. So let's look at weird spells. And maybe this gives access to what if you could cast Spirit Guardians once a day? We don't have any clerics, so that's not stepping on a cleric, really. I think we're good. I don't have anything for Amavin. Oh, boots Butylotation. I'll just add that in there. Okay, so strong start. The name of the last... Where did I go? Session notes. What was his name? Grey Cloud? Stone Wolf. So Stone Wolf, we will bold it. The White Dragon Scale Vassal. Attacks. He has 3 Dreadful Blessings. What's a Dreadful Blessing, you might ask? A Dreadful Blessing is a sort of like a legendary resistance coin. It replaces, I use it to replace legendary resistance, but it lets me cheat any way I want. I can have creatures do an entire extra round of attacks. I can have them recharge abilities. I can give them advantage on all attacks. I can have them move without provoking. They might be able to do that anyway with like a legendary action. But I get to do things. I can shatter force cages. I can, destroy things. I can walk through walls of force. I can do whatever I want with them. But there's only 3 of them. And once they're burned up, they're burned up. That is scene 1. Scene 2. So is there anything interesting in the... So if I look at the maps, let's see. We'll bring up let's go here. So I'm bringing up City of Arches because I'm using the map from City of Arches. And we are Adventure Framework Summervine. And that Summervine Villa was Bonespur Keep. And... So they made their way area, they went through here, they went down the bridge, and they're in the counting room. I flipped position on this. I switched it. So they're in K11. That's where they're doing the battle. That's the counting room. K13 is the vault. K12 is a entry hall. They're going to go upstairs. When they do... Oh, God, do I want to throw another battle at them? So this is probably where... Yeah, so Vestar is actually over in the other side. So that could be kind of fun. So traversing the tower to get from Vestar's... They have to get all the way up to the top and kind of make it over to Vestar's quarters. I could just put like another natural bridge, a natural bridge connector. So traversing... the towers to get to Vestar's, because Vestar's not going to go up above, and the Wyvern flies above. So there's a risk, an interesting, this is kind of like a challenge here, not a skill challenge, but like a challenge. The challenge is that they have to go from one tower to the other. There's not going to be a bridge, I lied. And it's because Vestar doesn't need one. Vestar flies. So Vestar just flies from one tower to the other, and the other tower gives him access to his throne room. As a humanoid, he flies over and then he transforms to a human and goes into his throne room. And that's where he is now, hanging out. So then we have Vestar's throne room. We'll bold Vestar so we can... I don't think I'll forget Vestar's name, but there it is. Oh, and then we have another NPC in here that's important to remember. There's also music. They can hear music playing. And one of their jobs is to rescue somebody here, which I've kind of forgotten about, but they made a promise to rescue Claremont Greyharp, husband of Calicler and Goblin Bard, because that's one of their... So that's an important scene. Then there's the vault, maybe, is a scene. Escape from the keep. Although they don't really have to escape, like there's not a big threat. And then next steps, right? And so they need to return Claremont to, what's her name? Queen Calicler of the Court of Winter's Love. They have to do that. Then is there any other... The north, they don't really have to worry about the north anymore. So they'll probably return to 440 Fingers. I really want to give them like a way to teleport back so they don't have to like go all the way through the Shadow Roads again. And these are not really next steps. These are things they're going to have to do. But then there are next steps. The next choices, right? Where are they going to go after this? And so I had a few that probably still exist. And we're going way back. Yeah, recover the Helm of Teleportation from the Colosseum of the Red Sun. That was one of them. I think that choice is still around. And recruit the Dragon Hunters of Mott at the ancient statue outside of Sayaz. That's another one. And I'll probably smuggle the agent of Nuria Natal into the Dragon Empire. That is, I think, another quest. That's another quest that I wanted to open up. Oh, I don't have the right screen up. So I think that that's another quest that I've been wanting to do. I have this other quest in mind that's probably not ready yet, which is that eventually Parsis the Hidden is going to be aware of the characters and aware of what they're capable of doing. And he wants to smuggle one of his kids out. He has a son who he wants to smuggle out of the Dragon Empire just as a safeguard and to make sure, like, he thinks the Dragon Empire is going to fall. And he's like, just in case something happens to me, I want my son to live, and I want my son to live in Nuria Natal. But I think that there will be this new agent of Nuria Natal, I think will be a fun aspect. Their agent who is smuggling stuff, Bradick Grimm. So it's a secret. Bradick Grimm received a message from Nuria Natal to smuggle an agent of the Nurians into the Dragon Empire who can help destabilize the Empire. That is a secret. That is a late secret. So I got plenty of scenes. We're good with scenes. It's time to hammer out some secrets. What are some things that they could learn? So they can learn that Claremont uses the magic of music to soothe the pain of Lady Callisler of the Court of Winter's Love. And she's a queen, Queen Callisler. That is a secret. What is another? So, who else could they be talking to? Is there anything else that Claremont? So with Vestar's defeat, the armies, the Southern Dragoncoil legions will break up and abandon and not march north. Over the next few months, let's see, this is probably another secret. The dragons, the Marathi, will likely lose control over and where, let's see, Midgard World Book, Marathi Dragon Empire. I always forget the names of the locations that they just gained control over. Of Alaria, conquered the mountains and valleys of Alaria, annexing the empire's newest province, Rumela. Rian was the other one. The Marathi admiral of the Western Fleet, Tolga Surstin, lost his entire Marathi fleet in a huge naval engagement against Tirela, Kiprian, and their allies. Yeah, they're going to lose the end, Kiprian. So that's good. What other secrets could the characters learn? Is there anything else that they could, what else would they learn while they're inside this keep? They could either learn it from Claremont, who could have overheard a lot of things. They could learn it from, I don't think they're going to learn anything from Vestar directly, but what other news has gone through here? Probably that Ibelin and Adishah don't get along. Ibelin thinks Adishah is a big brute hanging on to the old ways of dragonkind. Adishah thinks Ibelin is a tremendous foppy snob who has forgotten the ways of the dragon. What else could they learn from? So where does Ibelin reside? Mazar. Empire's Ibelin's brood in the world is his horde. After having forged the pacts that founded the empire, he left the old lands of Marat, his primary rival, and led the armies to victory under his benevolent wings. Eldest of the dragon lords, Ibelin was also the first to die of old age. Unlike others, he was prepared for his demise. Empire's guide and god, through Lord Baal's power, Ibelin sacrificed both his living flesh and eternal rest to finish his incomplete draconic designs upon the mortal world. He wears his hoard as a golden hide of gem-studded scales over ancient bones. Replete with a crown of oraculum horns and gilded death mask, he bears an uncanny resemblance to his living form. Few have seen Ibelin in past years. Will Vestar's death be enough to draw the dragon into the light? No. The answer is no. Ibelin is going to send powerful agents to find the assassin of his son. I'm reading about Mazar. Where does Ibelin actually reside? This is interesting. Ephesus. So let's see. Ibelin resides between two cities. Ephesus, the city of leisure. Ephesus. And Mazar, the summer capital. Their lair in each of these cities is a well-kept secret. I'm going to pause on secrets now for a bit because I've got a bunch of secrets that are connected to characters. right? I don't feel like I need to have too many. Fantastic location information. Is there anything I need to jot down here? So I already know what the room is like, the vault. We have the towers, which I mentioned already, that in the scene, they're going to traverse the towers. Wyvern flying above, the sound of music. Is there another crumbling parapet? So I've got some location information there. The throne room, I don't think I need much. I do need to remember to grab a miniature. I have a silver dragon mini. I should keep that. Notable NPCs. I think I've done a good job of marking all of the NPCs that I need. Are they all both Stonewolf, Claremont, Queen Calisler, who's Bradic Grimm is highlighted. So I have my NPCs listed. My monsters, I have the Silver Dragon, which I certainly know. So I don't think I need to list monsters either. Look how tight my notes are. Treasure. So we are going to go to the 5e Artisanal Monster Database for the first time. This is a tool available to patrons of Sly Flourish. And we're going to go to Tales of Valiant Treasure. And we are going to go to 5 to 10 because that's their level. And this is the amount of stuff. I do not like Bracers of Baleful Reprisal. That sounds fun. So not a ton of gold. I'm going to roll again just to see if there's any other. I got the Boots of Levitation. I think we're going to live with that. I don't think we need to give them too much more. So that is good for treasure. Is there any, so I have 4, so I did 4 steps today out of the 8, right? 4 steps I didn't need because I didn't need NPCs because I have NPCs listed throughout. I didn't need my Strong Star because my Strong Star is my first scene. I didn't need monsters because I really don't have that many to worry about because I got 2 big battles and I know what are in those big battles. And what else did I not need? Locations, because they're really only hitting a couple locations. I didn't really need to jot down notes. So this is a good example of where like you only have to keep the notes you need, right? You don't really, if you don't need 8 steps, you don't have to fill out 8 steps. The question is, do I feel like I've got everything I need for today's game? Do I feel comfortable with it? And the answer is yes, I think. Sure, why not? Right? Yeah. I feel like I've got plenty, especially like all the scenes that I've got here. Oh, one treasure piece I want to have. I'm going to take one of these. Cyclopean. That's pretty funny. Cyclopean Gilded Memento Mori Locket. We're going to say that casts Teleportation Circle. It's worth 1,000 gold. That way they have a tool that they could use to teleport back to their home base. But I think we're all set. So if I'm going to print these out, this is going to be really thin notes today. I bet you I can do 100% on scaling and it will still fit on a page. It does. Look at that. I'm going to print that out. Sometimes it's always worth kind of thinking about the 8 steps, but you certainly don't need to always use the 8 steps. And I think having characters, scenes, secrets, and treasure is really all I need for the prep for when I'm running, mostly because I have stuff that I did before. One thing I should have done, I'll do it right now, is looking at the secrets that I had written last time and saying, is there anything in here that the characters needed to know? And I think the answer is no. Vestar plans to march to the Dragon Coil Legion. Yes, I already knew that. Vestar is horribly frightened of the mother. Yeah. Vestar is served by a white scale vessel. Yeah. Vestar resides in the former Nurdurin Citadel high up in the mountains called Third Heaven. Yes. Beneath the Third Heaven are old tombs and decrepit caves in which a hag of the pale mother sends her children. We didn't need that. Vestar has some treasury previously passed from Black Spire into Third Heaven. Yes. But middle finger of the lower left hand of Nakrash. They're hoping to rob what remains of Vestar's personal hoard. Don knows the password to get in the keep. Vestar resides. Yeah. So all of these secrets were all things that I needed or that I've already passed along. So I am good. Friends, I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me today while I prepared for my Sunday role-playing game. If you enjoyed this show and you want more stuff like this, the best thing you can do is subscribe to the free Sly Flourish newsletter. Absolutely free to sign up. You get a free adventure generator, including a micro version of 5e that you can use to run games yourself very quickly with your friends. You also get a weekly RPG-related article sent directly to your inbox every Tuesday. You can also support me on Patreon. Patrons of Sly Flourish get things like the awesome 5e artisanal database, a database of rule sets, data sources, tools, generators that is downloadable hostable on your own machine. You can run it on your own local computer. You can host it on your own website for your internal use. Please don't put it up for everybody. And it includes several versions of 5e and all the data behind those several versions of 5e that you can use to help run your own games. Plus scenarios, adventures, other tool sets, all kinds of things. The Patreon Q&A, the dedicated Discord server. You get tons of stuff for being a patron of Sly Flourish. It is a fantastic deal. And you can pick up any of my books, including City of Arches, Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, The Lazy DM's Companion, Forge of Foes, the workbook, all kinds of stuff that you can get on the Sly Flourish bookstore. You can find links to all of those in the show notes. Thank you so much. Have a great day and get out there and play an RPG.